Extraordinary scenes last night in the centre of London. I don't know whether you've ever seen anything like this in Paris, but we've also got figures this morning that show that asylum-seeking applications from Albania are accepted in this country to the tune of about 55%, whereas in France it's only 2%. In most of Europe it's less than 5%. Only one or two other countries actually accept around about 10%. So there's an awful lot of Albanians coming here, and obviously that's the reason, because they get accepted as asylum seekers.
Yeah, absolutely. The UK's long been seen as a soft touch, and so it's attractive for people, asylum seekers and economic migrants, because they know they're going to be well looked after. They're going to be put up in hotels. And in France, that's not the case. In France, there's tented cities everywhere. There's just there's not the I suppose the willingness to accommodate people who are essentially here illegally.
Mm. No, that's absolutely right. But I mean, have you ever seen anything like that in Paris? You know, where you've got basically a group of nationals from another country celebrating their own Independence Day, waving flags, and driving in some... I mean, I know people are saying, what difference does it make what cars are in? They're in some very expensive cars. I think there's a car there that's under 100,000 quid.
Well, we're seeing this more and more, Mike, aren't we? Because just a couple of days ago, we saw in Belgium riots from Moroccan fans after Morocco beat Belgium in the World Cup.
Yeah.
And this has made the papers in France, because France hate Tunisia quite soon, tomorrow, I think. And you know, France has had problems before with Algerian fans, and there's a very famous case, I think about 20 years ago, when France played Algeria at the Stade de France, and there was huge Algerian whistling of a French national anthem. So President Jacques Chirac, who was at the time president, actually came down and stopped the game and said this is unacceptable, and sent a very clear message. But nonetheless, it continues, and this is what happens. You know, this is the side of multiculturalism that no one wants to talk about.
Well, that's the thing. And, you know, the left, those who believe in sort of unbridled immigration, say, well, what's the problem? Do you have the same problem? I've been getting comments like, you know, well, what do you say about St Patrick's Day? Well, I don't see people driving around in £100,000 plus Mercedes AMGs waving Irish tricolours in sort of midnight in the middle of Westminster.
No, absolutely not. And you know, you don't get British people celebrating St George's Day in France or anywhere else for that matter. You just got to watch those images there of what happened in London last night, and it was goading the British public, if you like. It was this ostentatious display. Look at us. We are milking the system. We're here in our cars, and there's nothing you can do about it. And frankly, there isn't anything we can do about it. So it seems, Mike, at the moment, because they just keep coming.
And we're not just here in our cars. We're here in our big Mercedes, we're here in our Porsche 4x4s, we're here in our Bentleys. I mean, these are people with a lot of money. And what we do know from the Home Office, and what we do know as well from prison statistics, is that Albania is by far and away the highest represented country in our prison population outside of the UK itself. And we also know from anecdotal evidence that an awful lot of the drug gangs which are now running drugs in Britain are Albanian.
Yeah, absolutely. I wrote a piece about this for the Spectator a couple of weeks ago, just saying highlighting the influence for over 20 years of the Albanian mafia and how it's just slowly spread west. Germany, Austria, Belgium, into France, and now it's into Britain. And this is why the number of small boats has suddenly increased, because the Albanian mafia 5-6 years ago realised how easy it was, and that no one was stopping them. And with Theresa May's Slavery Act, once you're here, you know, you're not going to be deported, and so it's proved. And you know, we see about the Suella Braverman has come up with this new initiative of fast tracking asylum seekers to safe countries. But if you actually read the text, Mike, which is in some of the newspapers today, you see that it's a rehash of a new Labour policy. And indeed it is. It's a policy that was introduced in 2002 by David Plunkett, who at the time was growing concerned at how easy it was, and again, how attractive Britain was That was 20 years ago, and here we are, Mike, still having the same conversations, only the problem has got 100 times worse.
Yeah, it really has. We haven't got a lot of time, Gavin, but let's talk about a piece you wrote in the Spectator as well about Qatar and how its wealth is kind of, you know, really pretty overpowering in terms of its cultural reach into Western Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got no problem, Mike, with Qatar saying, you know, this is an Islamic country, you respect our culture, so no alcohol. Fine, okay. But then the influence of Qatar using their vast wealth through organisations such as the Muslim Brotherhood in France, Belgium and Holland in particular, and the French press, to their credit, are very honest and very courageous in highlighting this. There's been numerous articles and books just saying how they promote campaigns for the hijab and other Islamic dress, and that's not part of Western culture, just as alcohol isn't part of Islamic culture.
Right.
But you know, respect is a mutual thing, but it's not, as from what we can see, Qatar wants us to respect their culture while it disrespects Western culture.
Yes. It's interesting, isn't it, that there's so many. I mean, we've got the BBC today and Gary Lineker, St Gary, being accused of racism by the Qatari government because of the way they've been covering the football, which has come as a bit of a shock to the BBC.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. I agree. I think some of it has been, some of the coverage at Qatar has been disrespectful. We're not taking into consideration their culture. We knew what we were getting into in 2010, Mike, and it's too late now. And when Qatar held the World Athletics Championships, it wasn't this fuss. It's just now, and it's with virtual signalling. And France have taken an approach, as I said in this article, when in Rome, do as a Roman. So they're not virtual signalling the way that the Germans, the Danes, the English are. They accept that they're in an Islamic culture, and that's the way things are. But you know, it would be nice if Qatar accepted that in the West we have a different culture too.